All right. So, it's been a minute since I've made a video. It's probably been like 6 months. It's been a lot of training and whatnot for DRL and just been busy running around. So, as my return to making videos, I thought I'd talk about the product that is all the hubbub right now in the FPV community, and that's right, that's the DJI HD system. I bought these myself, so I'm not a review unit kind of guy. This is, I got my penny in on this, so I hope it's good, because it was, I think in the end, after taxes, all of that, it cost me around $1,400 for goggles. I also bought the transmitter, as well as 2 air units, so it was definitely a pretty penny. But the goggles, the transmitter, that's a one-time purchase, so at least that's good. And I've built it into, let me put this down, built it into this. So this is my DRL Racer 4 practice clone. So I built this to train for DRL, just have something that's easy to fix and whatnot, and that's super durable. And luckily, check that out. The DJI Air unit actually fits perfectly inside of it. Super protected. It's never gonna break. Hopefully, fingers crossed. The antennas I just have zip tied at the moment. But yeah, it actually came together really well. You don't need a receiver because that's all built into the Air unit, so that's super handy dandy. And this is gonna be my maiden flight, so no idea what to expect. No idea. I hope it works. I set it up. I arm checked it when I was back at home, so yeah, you're gonna experience my first flight into DJI's HD system, and then from there, there's a forest spot that I like down the street, and we're gonna roll down over there and see what's up flying in a forest. So, one thing I'd like to mention about building with the DJI Air unit is it only takes up to, I believe, 4S, and all of my builds are 5 or 6S because I don't own any more 4S batteries. But luckily, the new Hobbywing G3 flight controller, which is supposed to be paired with the new Hobbywing 60 amp ESC, actually has a built-in 12 volt 2 amp reg in it. So there you go. If you need a flight controller that has a powerful 12 volt rail, check out the new Hobbywing G3 flight controller, because it's a perfect match. You just solder all 4 wires, RX, TX on the UART, the 12 volt voltage, ground, and then the S bus, just kind of all in a row, and you're done. It was super duper simple. So bonus. Yeah. I'm always scared to plug in a new quad, but let's do this. So, quick impression about these goggles. I have a finger worth here that, see, I can see you, hello. I have a finger worth here and over here. So there's a lot of light leak. But the screen is super duper bright and super nice, so the light leak doesn't really affect it that much, other than the fact that you can kind of see these reflections and whatnot in the background. Luckily, that's probably an easy fix. I hope they come out with foam for different faces. That's pretty simple, I think, and maybe we'll see that in the future. But it's all plugged in, arms, so let's fly. So I'm back on my computer and I'm editing this, and I realized I didn't talk at all during my flight. So I'll give you a gist of what I was experiencing when I was flying this. Really, it's so clear and crisp compared to our HDOs that I was very immersed in the flight. I think a huge part of that is the goggles. The screen is just significantly better than HDOs. It's a lot bigger FOV. It's just a lot more immersive of an experience overall, which I very much enjoyed. The control feel wasn't much of an issue. I would compare it similar to flying a Runcam Eagle or any other higher TV line analog camera. You know, the more pixels that the sensor has to scan, the more latency it's gonna have. That's just, I think, physics. I could be wrong, but yeah. So it feels really good control-wise. It looks really good video-wise, at least close in an open field like this. So I was super impressed with my initial impressions off the bat. And this is flying out over the field at range. Just a quick range test. I generally like to do this on new builds. This is an untuned 7-inch, so like totally new. I don't know how this RF system works, all of that. So just, it's always good to just see what it's capable of, so that you can grow to trust it. But here, if I duck too low on analog, at least I'll get a bunch of static because of those trees, and my RSSI on my crossfire, my link quality will drop. So similar situation here. You just got to stay high. It's still 5.8 gigahertz. It's still RF. You know, we still have to follow the same rules, which is it's not going to penetrate through rock and mountains, and it's not going to go through giant forests. So, you know, you still have to definitely keep that all in mind. Yeah, it's not going to static, but it's going to have other tendencies like that blockiness you saw when I went around the 1 kilometer tree. Flying right where here is generally skirting the edge of analog video, and you can see that it's getting a bit blocky here and there. So, you know, same rules as analog. It's not gonna be some magic cure to all RF problems, but I am excited to see what the potential is. I mean, if I can fly around at my the edge of my usual analog video with just like the stock omnis that come with the goggles, I'm really curious what you can do if you upgrade those to more directional higher gain antennas like the True RC X2 Airs that I usually use on my analog setup. So there's definitely potential there to see if this system is capable of more and more. First impressions? Well, so while I was flying, Cole showed up. So I'm going to let him fly it, because 2 impressions is always better than 1. So
let me get my sliders adjusted.
On it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Arm switches. This guy.
Let me take them off for that.
It's tiny. I missed it when I was trying arm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it has this weird like split image thing. So I have it in quote focus mode.
Yeah.
Which apparently makes the middle sharper. Like it prioritizes the middle of the screen.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat too. It's super sharp though, isn't it?
That's really impressive.
And do you feel latency at all?
Not at all. Not any more than I would on a...
Right, like it feels normal.
That's totally flyable. It's not noticeable. It's almost like watching a GoPro.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna go and duck behind some trees over here just to kind of see.
Watch out, there was a guy on a walk earlier, so just be mindful of that.
There's nobody.
Hey, you can actually see now.
Yeah. Ooh, whenever I've flown behind here before, it's always had a little bit of breakup on analog, but with this, like,
it just kind of gets a little pixely, right?
It gets a little bit fuzzy, and there's maybe a tiny bit of stutter, but it's like,
yeah, it does this weird like rubber band lag kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I just got it for sure, but it's not.
But I mean, the same amount as like if you're flying through static. I feel like it's not.
Yeah, it's no worse than just regular static. I've flown behind those same trees on 800 milliwatt and 1 watt, and this wasn't any worse by any means.
So once again, I'm pretty rusty with making these videos, so I didn't record me arriving to this location, but it was kind of a mess. We're driving along this road, and the lady in front of us hit a dip in the road and ripped her oil pan off of her car, like her sump cover, and just spewed oil all over the place, so we had to help her out for a bit. So I got distracted from making the video again, but luckily we got her to her friends. Anyways, now we're here flying in this little forest spot off the side of the road just to check out how the system works with penetration and whatnot. And really what I want to talk about right now is less about how the RF was, because in my eyes it flew similarly to analog would, you know. I experienced breakup / static / blockiness, or whatever you want to call it, at the same places I would generally experience static and link quality dropping and packet loss and whatnot that I would on my regular setup. So in my eyes, pretty comparable for general, just like screwing around some trees, which I was really impressed with, because I honestly was expecting something more like Connex, which would freeze up, where this doesn't freeze. It just, you know, it just narrows your vision. As you can see there, it's like the sides get really blocky, but it keeps the center section of the screen totally good enough that I'm actually, and because the goggle screen is so big, this center section that's all in focus and sharp is honestly still bigger than the HDO, like what you can normally see in analog. So this is like 100% acceptable for me. I'm all for it. You can see I'm starting to have a little fun. This is my first time ever flying at this spot, first battery, so you can experience along with me exploring the space, and that's what is really cool to me about this DJI system. It allows you to really get immersed in where you are. Like right here, you know, I can see every leaf, I can see every branch. I'm just really enjoying flying in this space. It gives you a wonderful sensation to be able to see. It's you know, just that notion is pretty wild to me, that we're in the FPV community arguing about if having better vision is good or not. And to me, any step that is taken to furthering our ability to see better while we're flying FPV, sure, it might have its own shortcomings, or it's, you know, other pros and cons, but this is a step in the right direction in my eyes. It's really cool to be able to see so clear while you're flying FPV without really much latency added that I can really notice, at least for this style of flying, right? Sure, for like high-speed racing or other uber precise situations, this setup might not be optimal. Like I will not be putting HD on my race rigs for a plethora of reasons, mostly due to size and price. But for this kind of flying, where it's just more exploratory, where it's more just seeing the sights and enjoying where you are, I think it's just great. It does the job. It fits the bill. And this is what I wanted the HD system for. I'll go into more detail about it in my recap that I recorded once I got home. But yeah, I'm very, very, very impressed. Here I have the bright idea of doing a penetration test. So just seeing how far into the thick of it I can go before I can't fly anymore. And you'll get a better recap with a bit of vulgar language. So if you don't like the F word, you can close this video now, because I'm pretty stoked about this. But I mean, so now I'd assume with analog I'd have pretty bad breakup. You're going through a lot of trees and a lot of bush. That's very, very dense bush down low there. And once again, this is like just the Omnis, the stock Omnis that come with the goggles. I'm not using anything directional. You can see it's starting to rubber band, pixelate. But I mean, on analog, it would be super staticky here. On HD, it's also super staticky. This is actually, I believe, where I fail safe and the goggles stop recording DVR. So this is me blindly landing it while staring at the DJI logo. And here we are back to reality. Dude, I got really fucking far. Like, I don't want to fly on the analog just to see that. You never fucking make it there. No fucking way. Oh, I'm past all that. I should have set failsafe up on this thing before I did that, huh? Yeah. Okay. So now we're officially out of line of sight, right? Can't see where we were? No. So it kind of makes sense that I was able to make it this far, because yeah, it's like open, and then it makes sense that I lost it because of these, because I was low. It should be right here ish. Want me to disarm real quick? Sure. Uh-oh. That's not good. You got green light. It should just be right here, unless it just flew away on me. Video? Yeah. Oh, that'd be so weak if I lost it. I think it's right there. I hear it. No, it's oh my god, it's further up. Oh, what the hell? Dude, like this is totally out of, no fucking way analog would have made it up here. Here it is. Look at that. Dang, right side up and everything. Little impressive. You know, that's, yeah, you know, DJI. Alright, that's really, really impressive. I don't think analog would have made it that far. And if it did, it would have just been static. So, I think it made it just as far as analog, honestly. Yeah. No, there's no way you can make it. Dude. Yeah.
Wow.
Quick recap while Cole gets ready to fly. Flew around in this little forest spot. It's pretty open, but got some trees. And the system never really held me back. I got to fly everywhere where I would expect to be able to fly. Like if I was on my regular old analog rig, I'd fly the same kind of stuff, and it would get like hairy when I'm putzing through trees and whatnot. This just got a little fuzzy, so it's, I mean, I think they're pretty equivalent in terms of flying ability. All right, and then I went down the trail as far as I could. It went impressively far until it locked up and fail-safed on me, but that was probably about as far as you get on an analog rig before it just goes full snow static on you. So like so far it's pretty one-to-one. Cole's gonna take it for a rip, and hopefully he doesn't get stuck in one of these tall trees.
That's actually insane.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like watching like GoPro footage.
Right?
Like the sides are obviously, it's in the focus mode, so it's blurred on the sides, but in the middle it's totally focused, and it's as sharp as watching GoPro back.
Now that I'm home, I've had a chance to think about, I still haven't watched the footage, but think about kind of my impressions. How did flying this new DJI system go? And did it meet my expectations? I would say definitely. It actually exceeded my expectations. I went into this not trying to replace my analog. A lot of the chatter that I've seen online, it goes along the lines of, oh, it's too expensive, I can't shell out $160 or whatever each air unit costs to fleet out all of my drones. I have 10 drones, it would be too expensive to replace everything with HD. I'm not trying to do that. I'm in no way trying to replace my entire fleet of analog quads with HD quads. All I'm doing is building up a couple, this would be my first one, HD rigs. So for me, the point of HD, it's not to fly my hardest and to race and throw down all the time. The point of HD for me is to enjoy the scenery better. It's to get to really fly in a space and feel that space better than I would be able to with analog. And I believe the DJI system allowed me to do that. When I'm feeling like a slow day and I don't want to just like crash and bash and all that, and I want to just relax, cruise around, fly, look at the flowers, that kind of stuff, that's when I want to use the HD system. And I think it performed beyond my expectations for that. It did amazing. I did a little range test in an open field, flying from my car to that big tree is pretty much exactly 1 kilometer. And it was perfect video the whole time. The only time it skipped a moment was when I went around the far tree. And on analog, you see snow there when you go around the tree anyway. So, my expectations going into it were it's going to have some quirks. It's going to have its pros and its cons, just like analog does. Analog, the pros is low latency, and the breakup is predictable, right? The cons of analog is the resolution is junk, and it's kind of hacky the way we have to make it work. This is pretty seamless. You plug it in, you bind them up, and then you have control, you have video, you can change channels, and it changes the channels on the receiver, and all, it's designed well, and you can tell that it works well. I did have one weird issue where it got stuck in 25 milliwatt mode, but then a friend of mine gave me a text file with the number 1 in it, and I dropped that onto the SD card and it unlocked it again. I don't know, that's some weirdness. But otherwise, I mean, it does exactly what I want it to do, which was allow me to enjoy a cruisy, relaxy flight better. Yes, I'm not fully switching to it, or I guess no, I'm not fully switching to it. No, I'm not going to fleet out everything. I'm going to have a couple rigs like this. You know, this is a big 7-inch bruiser. It's going to take a beating. I'm probably never going to have to work on or fix this thing. And it's going to be for when I just want to cruise around. And yeah, I mean, to me, I went to it expecting a great HD system, and what I got was a great HD system. So yeah, I'm super happy. I definitely, I'm going to keep flying it. I'm super stoked to fly it. I'm really excited to try and do a long range test with it and push it to its limits. I'm not sure how I'm going to safeguard losing the drone. I've thought of an analog, like putting a Unify in there on a pit switch, so that if for whatever reason the DJI system drops out at 3.5 kilometers, you flip the switch, Unify pops on, you take the goggles off and fly from a screen. Well, that one's going to take a bit more planning. Or it's just in like a big open area where you can drive/hike to where the drone has fallen out of there. So that one's going to take a little work, but I'm really excited to continue playing with this and really pushing its limits. Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked about it. I'm really stoked about it. Like, it built really easily. It just kind of works as expected. And you can, similar to analog, you can expect when the breakup's gonna happen, right? Like when you're flying with your Fat Sharks, you go, okay, if I go around this tree, I'm gonna get snow, so I just know I have to hold course. Same kind of thing with this. You're like, all right, if I go around these trees, it's probably gonna get a little blocky. You just gotta hold course. Like it's really very similar. You have to be mindful of the way you're flying it and the system's downfalls and work around those to your benefits, right? It's gonna be, no matter what, there's gonna be pros and cons. And the pros of this is that it's beautiful. It's really beautiful to fly. And it was an incredibly enjoyable experience. And yeah, I'm excited to continue flying this drone in pretty places where I can poke around in trees and really get to feel and experience those trees instead of it just being a blurry mess where I'm kind of poking my way through. Now I can really like float around in those trees and take in the true beauty of those natural environments. So yeah, that's my take on the new DJI HD FPV system. Personally, I would give it a thumbs up because I know what I was expecting and how I wanted to use it, and it's met every single one of those expectations. And I'm super stoked about it. So, and you know, it has room to grow. That's the other thing, is like, this is still on version 1.0.0. They have a bunch of O's and points. But that just means it's just going to get better. I know some of the antenna guys were saying those antennas are pretty junk. If you upgrade them, it'll be better. So, you know, maybe we'll start getting X2 Airs designed for the HD system. That would be pretty cool if we could just extend the range and penetration of the system with just a few different antennas. And that's what we have to do with our analog setups, right? Like, if you were just flying around with the stock Fat Shark Spiro net, yeah, you're gonna get shit video and you're gonna get static everywhere, and you're not gonna get penetration and be able to fly around trees. That's what we're flying on right now. We are flying on stock Omni antennas. So that it's exactly what it is. So once we get that aftermarket support, once people figure out how this all works, how to optimize it, it's just going to get better and better and better. So don't freak out. This is just the beginning of a different path. This is, you don't buy the same car twice. For example, I have a WRX. I want to get a 4x4 off-road SUV kind of car. This to me is that utility vehicle, right? The analog system is my fast street car. It's fun. I love driving it, but it doesn't take me to the places that I want to go sometimes, or it's not the right rig for the job. This is just a different rig for the job. It's for when I want to go explore nature and enjoy the scenery. That's when I'm going to bust out this system. And when I want to go fast and slay some lines, I'm going to grab my analog setup. So different tools, different jobs. That's the way I see it. So stoked to see the future, and thanks for watching my video. I know I've been on a many month hiatus, but I just moved into this new house, so I have an office now, which will allow me to work on more videos and just generally put out more content. So I'm really excited about having the space to do the work that I love to do. So thanks for listening in to my rambling and everything, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.